Hi there.
Hi, Sheroes and Heroes.
Hi.
Welcome back to our YouTube live session. Today we're going to talk about identity. Did you ever wonder if identity is something that is fixed or whether it is really something like a personality, something you can work on throughout your life? Something perhaps that you can influence and cultivate by your actions. So this is what we are going to find out today, and I hope that you can enlighten us a little bit.
Yeah, so previously we talked about the hero's journey as set in like three kind of phases, which are the departure, the initiation, and the return. So the hero, or it could even be ourselves in our own lives, go through these stages when we embark on like a big journey, on a big change in our lives. And what identity is really about is this initiation phase, what we are cultivating when we are implementing this change, and the people we become. So what is identity? Well, it's a mixture of how we see ourselves and how other people perceive who we are. It's kind of this notion, like, yeah, it's this combined notion. And that makes it interesting to look at, because I mean, we can't change how other people think about us directly, only indirectly through what we do and what we say. But we do have some control over how we look at ourselves and what we do with the time given to us. And what that boils down to is basically action. So to take an example on the hero's journey, the hero faces many challenges and obstacles, but he doesn't just get this obstacle and then he lies down for a month and cries. He actually thinks, and then he starts doing something about that. And that shows courage, and that shows, like, maybe it takes courage, maybe it takes discipline, until it becomes part of our identity. And then it's just habitual, then it's just easy, something that we can do every day, even without thinking about it. Like driving a car, for example. It took a lot of learning probably to learn to drive a car, or to learn to walk when you were a baby, or when you learn to bike on the bikes. That's yeah.
You mean there's a kind of hero or shiro identity that can be cultivated by acting and facing the obstacle in your way?
Yes, and that's actually interesting, because before we kind of define what it is, what kind of life that we envision for ourselves, it will be difficult to figure out exactly what to do about that. So if we are unhappy and procrastinating a lot, that might just mean that we haven't set up like what it is that we really want out of our lives. And then it could be that we say to ourselves, well, I want to read this really exciting personal development book, or I want to be better in business, or read this business book, or I take this course about finances. But when we actually have to do it, it's so difficult. So we procrastinate and wait for it. And there's this interesting idea, or this kind of simple model to understand how we feel afterwards, because if we say the neutral point is kind of 0 on a line of numbers, and then doing this right thing, like reading this book, taking this course, is +1, going one step further. But on the other hand, like just sitting on the couch watching television on Netflix, or browsing YouTube or whatever, is -1 on this line. Then it's like we have this feeling when we do the actions that we were not supposed to do, so to speak. it's kind of 2 steps away from what we really want to achieve. It's not just 1 step away from being neutral, it's 2 steps away from being the perfect self.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the way to kind of face these issues is by looking at what our goals really are. Maybe they are big goals, and if they're too big for us, then it can start to trigger some fearful emotions and thoughts. And one way to do that, or to prevent that, is to kind of break it down into so small pieces. So there's basically 3 ways to go about changes that revolves around our identities, like goal-based change. So you set a goal for yourself. By this date, I will have read this book, and then I'm further on the journey. That works for small goals, maybe like reading a book, for example, or signing up for an online course. Maybe that's an easy goal to set up for yourself, and you will fulfill that. If it's too big, then maybe we don't get to do it. And if we are very prone to procrastination, to just getting this rush of dopamine from Netflix series, something like this, then maybe even reading a book can be difficult. Then we need to break it down into even smaller pieces. Maybe like just telling yourself, I will read at least 5 or 10 minutes today. And tomorrow I'll try to do the same. And whenever we continue on these small goals, they stack up eventually. And it starts building our confidence loop. We start accepting ourselves, and that we can actually do something in this direction that we want to go in. So the first one was goal-based. The second one was this process-based, like make it really small. And the third option is identity-based. So that's really looking at the whole set of like habits in our daily lives. What is it that is supporting this kind of thing that we want to go for? Like, is it maybe connecting this habit of reading 5 to 10 minutes of books every day to another habit? Maybe it's in the morning. We say, well, after I can do my exercise, and then directly afterwards I will read a book. Maybe that helps to link those kind of habits to create kind of a new identity for yourself. And that really implies that identity is not only about the action that we take, which might take courage and self-discipline, but also the frequency about it. And there's this anecdote. When I first started meditating, I heard this phrase that it's better to meditate 5 minutes every day than 1 hour every week, because it's not about the length of the meditation exercise itself. It's more about how frequent we do it, because it's a practice. It's a habit. It's a learning exercise to train our brains. And it's the same thing with many habits and many changes in our life. It needs to be habitual.
Yeah, like exercise. Like exercise, for example, isn't it like the best exercise for you is the exercise you do?
That's true. Yes, that's true. Because then it's like, it's what actually makes an impact in the end. It's what you do.
Yeah. For example, I met a girl once. She wanted to get back into exercising after having born a child, and she couldn't, in a way. She had this cross trainer at home, but she argued that, well, I can't exercise unless it's 45 minutes, unless I can do 45 minutes in a row. And let's be honest, with a small child, that won't be happening possibly. So
I guess you didn't train a lot or exercise a lot then.
Before she did, but then and she tried to transfer her standards before having a child,
Ah,
over to her new life of having a small child that was craving a lot of her time.
Yeah, an effort as well, I guess. So.
But it's not only when you have a child; it can also be like you have very big standards. It's this goal setting again. Having
I mean, I guess it's really, really about also when you. I mean, that's not directly about identity, but really related to how you define your goals, like what do you envision your future, and you need to take a more holistic approach, otherwise it will fail somehow. I mean, you can't just work all the time, you can't also just watch Netflix all the time or sleep all the time. You need to have like time for family, social life, work, sleep, relaxing, and entertainment. Everything needs to be in a right amount there, and you have to accept that, and then just try to figure out the bits and pieces to make it work for you. And like
and on the other hand, when you really want to focus on your family life, I guess you have to, I guess this also has something to do with identity, feeling like the family guy, so to speak. Then you have to really find the actions that will complement this vision of yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, that can be a good thought experiment. Like, if you have this idea, I want to kind of go in this direction, like maybe be kind of a family person. So think about some other people that are family people to you. What are they doing in their lives? What are they thinking? What are they choosing and deciding every day? Then try to kind of reenact that and simulate that until it becomes your own habit, just to feel in that role. That's kind of cheating an identity, so to speak. And I'm curious, so I know that you're really into habits as well. So can you maybe tell a bit about your morning ritual?
Yeah, so I have had a morning ritual for like 1.5 years now, and I really experimented with a lot of different habits, and every month I change a few of my habits. But it really my morning focuses on the one hand on me wanting to be in good physical shape, for example. So I train, and on the other hand, me feeling as if I really know myself, as if I'm in harmony with myself. So I journal. For example, write down my dreams, have a gratitude journal, have just a journal, a daily journal about my thoughts and feelings. And sometimes I do all of these things, and sometimes I just do a few of these things. I mean, at one day I might just do the gratitude or the dream journal. I try to do one of those things, and then I also try to learn and hone my skills. So, for example, I see myself as a storyteller, so I want this storyteller identity. So what I do is a daily practice of voice training, vocal warm up, recording and listening to what I recorded, and try to edit and try to criticize myself, but also try to give myself the practice where I have the space to tell a story without criticizing myself. So I do a lot of these things.
It sounds like a lot of habits. Like
it's yes, but you can just start with one thing. So it really depends on your goal, right, and on your identity. If you want them to be this really healthy person, then you can focus on the physical exercise. And if you want to be emotionally healthy, then you can focus more on the journaling and meditating kind of way. And if you really want to learn something more, I think this should be a part of your everyday life anyway. that you learn something every day, then you can concentrate on whatever you are interested in.
I mean, if you guys want like a great morning ritual, but maybe you feel like you don't have the time, so you need to wake up earlier in the morning, then one habit to implement could be to try to go to bed at the exact same time in the evening beforehand, and then see how it works out, maybe just for a week. And then you can start stacking on that, like building on top of that. If you need more energy, maybe you need to do more exercise or change your eating pattern or whatever it is that will support you on the next step of the journey. Yeah.
And anyway, if you don't feel that you can get up at 6 o'clock from the start, and you usually get up at 7 or something, then try to make it every day a little bit earlier, maybe 5 minutes earlier every day until you reached your goal.
Yeah.
This is some great. It's not from me, but I tried it and it really works wonders.
Yeah. And you practiced a lot or tried out a lot of different habits. That's what I'm hearing. Did you ever try something out that did not work for you at all, kind of, or that you maybe tried it for a week or 2 weeks and then you said, no, it's not for me?
Oh, if I practiced it for such a short time, then I probably can't really remember it, obviously. Okay. But I know what I found really hard is financing and budgeting. So in the beginning, I had this habit of doing something financial and getting up to scratch with my budgeting and financial plan. Is not something that I used to do, but something that I find really useful. And I didn't end up doing it every day. But some habits, sometimes it's good when I do it at least 3 times a week, then I really get on with it anyway. But
then you have this kind of even though it's not daily, it's still like frequent enough to have kind of this connection with the progress. Like, I guess that's the difference between doing something once a week and then 3 times.
Yeah, and then it's also the amount of habits. So I usually had 12 habits, and at some point it's every day, and at some point it really just felt like, yeah, I do this so I can cross it off. And it worked for me for a long while. It worked for me pretty well because I'm a really structured and disciplined person, really like to plan my day, but then at some point I didn't really feel it. And I think especially in the morning, you want your time. You don't want to look at the clock all the time. You really want to live in this no time. And I got this from Joe Dispenza's book, where he talks about meditating in the morning for an hour without setting yourself.
It's called Placebo, right? The book.
Yeah. We don't want to do marketing here, but I
just if you're curious and want to.
Yeah, so just plenty of time. That's why I get up 3 hours before I really need to do something. Yeah. But so this is a plea for just keep it to a few habits.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
I mean, for myself, recently, I just implemented a very new habit 1 week ago, and every day I do, exactly after I wake up, I do a strength training for like 15 minutes. And it's really, really nice because I feel more awake and more healthy, and I like my body more in a way. So I think it's a good start of the morning.
And it's also supposed to reduce stress.
Exactly, yes.
In the morning.
So I know that you had some idea for an exercise today.
Yeah, it's actually more of a challenge. Because next week in the book club on Saturday at 7 p.m. Central European Time, we will discuss and tell stories related to the book The Creative Habit by Twyla Tharp. a book that I really like. It's really practical if you want to introduce a creative habit every day. And there are a lot of exercises, and I'm not sure, this is not really in the book, but I think it's a very nice challenge. So what I want to do, and you can feel free to join me in this, we will show our results next week in the next live session. We will every day for 7 days collect one thing every day that really inspires us. And it can be anything that inspires you.
Mm-hmm.
It can be perhaps like a dialogue that you just heard, a couple smiling at each other, a quote or a text. It can be a piece of music you heard,
or a CD you like,
CD,
or whatever.
It can be something tactile too. So really anything. You can collect it in a kind of box. Like for example, I plan to use this box. It's empty right now.
It will be filled.
I hope so, with at least 7 things. I turned off the music. Sorry. Oh, what happened?
So
I think we burned out.
Okay.
I think
no more light. But we're looking forward to.
Now it's light again. Sorry for that. Yes.
We're looking forward to show what we found. I'm very excited about this actually.
So collect something every day, and you can put it in a folder, in a digital folder, or in a box like this. It just makes it really haptic, and I like that. So, and after 7 days, on the 8th day, you can just open your box, look at what you collected, and then try to come up with something that
how it inspires.
Yes. So try to come up with something you can get out of this. For example, you can write a short story or a poem. You can create a piece of music, whatever your talent is really. You can paint or take a